Welcome back to the College Football UK podcast brought to you by the AAW Network. I am your host, Fletch, and as always, I am joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, Gary and Sam. We have no Nick this week. This is the last week with no Nick. Gents, how are you both?
Over to
Yeah,
you, Sam.
all right. I've got a bit of cold, but apart from that, I'm all right. So if you hear me snotting, then that's what it is.
Nice. And for our viewers across the pond, snotting, well, you'll come to understand what that means soon enough, the sound of what Sam says.
He's boogering.
Yeah, doing good, mate. Good to speak to you. Glad to be back. Looking forward to the episode.
Yes. So obviously we did not have an episode last week because we were planning for the off season.
Mhm.
Um,
Being all
but
professional, like.
to make up for it, we have two episodes out this week. Obviously, well, today, the day of release is Thursday the 12th. But on Sunday, what's the actual date on Sunday?
15th, the day
The
after
15th.
Valentine's Day.
On Sunday, the 15th of February, we will have another episode out with a special guest, which I will probably release at the end of the episode. So if you want to find out who our special guest is on Sunday, you're just going to have to stick around. Um,
Sneaky.
Today, well, we've got a couple of plans for the next couple of weeks. So next week, we're going to be doing transfer portal. We're going to do recruitment. The week after, we're going to do transfer portal, because they are Nick's and Sam's topics. We want to make sure that Nick's on for those ones. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the future of the college football playoffs. Now, over the last few weeks, the 2026 college football playoff format has been cemented mainly because nobody can well, say nobody can agree. The Big Ten and the three other Power Four conferences, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12, can't agree on what to do going forward. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at the options available to us, and we'll come up with our own ideas as to what we think is the best way to go about the college football playoffs. Um, Before we do get into it, though, don't forget you can follow us and the AAW Network on the social medias. You can join our free to join Discord server and find all the relevant links and information in the description of this episode if you are on YouTube. They are right below our beautiful faces. And if you are on Spotify or Apple, then you can find them inside, etc. You can find them on the inside the app that you are listening on. Start off with Nick's news, but Nick's not here, so we've not got Nick's news. I've got a couple of pieces, but I'm going to throw to Sam's supplement and see if Sam's supplement has anything.
No, there's no news from my end. I've not had much of a chance this week, so we'll go with no.
Garage Gazette.
Empty this week. Nothing going on.
Well, that isn't true. There are a few
Mhm.
pieces of news that have come out over the last week or two. One of which being that the LA Bowl has shut down after 5 seasons. You might remember it as like the LA Bowl presented by Gronk for the past 3 years, I think it's been. It's presented by Gronk. Um, yeah, the LA Bowl is shutting down mainly due to, I think, its finances. Being able to afford it. So
Mm.
this year's edition was, I think it was Washington BYU, which Washington absolutely blew the back doors out of BYU in that one. So um, it's not the greatest ending to that bowl game. But other news, it came out on Friday-ish that North Dakota State, the FCS powerhouse, were
Woohoo.
planning on joining the Mountain West Conference as of 2026. NDSU then put out a statement saying that nothing has been essentially doing the whole like what Lane Kiffin did when it was like, I'm not denying anything. We're just saying things are not we
Not
are
as
not
black and
currently
white.
we are not
Hmm.
currently uh members of the Mountain West, so we can't say that we're members of the Mountain West. Then on Sunday, I think it was Sunday, on Monday, it
Monday, I
was
think.
then announced that they had officially joined the Mountain West Conference as a football only member starting in 2026. So we have a brand new member of the FBS, and in which obviously we know that there are rules that FCS programs must follow when going up to the FBS in terms of not being allowed to play in a bowl game for a year, can't be eligible for the playoffs. They are immediately challenging
Yep. I was going to say
that
they're immediately
position.
appealing that, aren't they? Yep.
Which will just be met with a, nah, you're all right.
You're right. Nobody else has got away with it. Why are you special?
Well, this year Delaware kind of got away with it. They got into a bowl game, but that was because there were not enough teams that were bowl eligible, which I think they'll probably end up doing the same thing. Like for the playoffs, you're not getting into the playoffs.
No. You're not going
But
to be
for a
able to
bowl
win the
game,
conference type thing.
for a bowl game,
If
you'll just
there's a
have to
bowl
see.
game available and there's no one else, you can go in.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to come down to that.
Yep.
And there is one more piece of news that came out today. That was it. Montana linebacker Solomon Taliapupu. I'm definitely butchering that last name.
Sounds like a Hawaiian name, so
It is.
Tuaralipu, something now.
Is granted a 9th year of eligibility for 2026.
9 year.
9th year.
Okay. Someone needs to explain. So red-shirted, injured,
COVID year.
COVID, extra year because of COVID.
So hang on, I will get it.
Another year out injured. How does he get to 9?
Redshirted 5 years and then played 4.
Five redshirt years because he basically busted his knee or something and didn't play for 4 years.
So he was at USC 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. Did not play any of those seasons due to injury. So 2018-19 was his foot. 2020-21 was knee. Then 2022, he finally played in 14 games.
Would that
Got a
have been his
combined.
freshman year then?
That would technically it'd have been his freshman year. Then in 2023, he did not play again with an injury to his knee. He played for USC in 2024, then transferred to Montana in 2025. So this would be his 4th year of actually playing, because in his 8 seasons so far, he's been injured for
broken
5
for
of them.
5. I mean, maybe you, in the nicest possible way, you might want to hang them up because for 5 out of 8 years you've been on the physio table. That's long term not going to do you much good, is it? And NIL money in Montana State or Montana State, either way, NIL
Montana.
money in either of those two isn't going to be an awful lot, is it?
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's Montana. It's the Grizzlies.
Also, realistically, who's going to be taking him in the NFL?
Yeah, who's going to go?
Absolutely
Oh, so
no one.
our physio room has got an empty table for you. Feel free. Yeah, come to the Niners, right? Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, Niners.
Niners will take him, put him next to the power station. He'll be fine.
As a UDFA.
I don't want to get into the power station, but that's one of my favorite discussions of this whole season. In fact, Sam, to be fair, our NFL awards didn't feature the greatest conspiracy of the
Yeah,
year, which
we
was
should
the
have had a
power grid.
conspiracy award, really, shouldn't
But no, it's Montana, and he will be 26 when the season starts.
we? And it'll be 27 by the time it's finished. That's crazy.
Yeah, he'll be older than most people. That some people have had their NFL career by then.
Yeah, so he's 25 now. He'll be
Didn't
26
Todd
in
Gurley
March.
retire at 28?
28, 29, yeah. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, because he was going to run over us for years. But yeah, for you guys, it was a short-lived. We digress. Sorry.
So he's 31 and he retired in 2020.
27, 28, yeah.
Right, this is totally random, well off topic, but I'm going to
well
say
off
it
topic.
anyway.
I mean, it's not even college football we're talking about now, so go on.
But you know the Sophia George song? Young man, you're too girly, girly. Every time I hear that, I can't. I only think of Todd Gurley. I don't know, but I always, every now and again, I go through these phases in my head where I just think of stupid things, and one of those is what would make good chants in American football. And I just think touchdown to Todd Gurley, Gurley would make a great chant on a terrace.
They don't
Yep.
really chant in American football, though,
They
do
just
No,
don't get it though, do they?
but but if they did,
they?
Yeah.
that
The
would
problem
make a
is that
great one.
it would be, but how do you chant when you're on offense? The whole point is you're supposed to not chant for your team when you're on
But once
offense.
once the touchdown's gone in
Yeah.
and you
It
you
should be a
finish
touchdown celebration song.
you finish cheering the teams you're on ad break and whatnot. Touchdown to Todd Gurley. I just say it'd be a fantastic thing, and it's better than like I believe that we will win that you
Let's
see
go
in.
team.
Go team. Yeah.
Look, I'm too sick of the UK US culture war at the moment over football, so I don't want to get too
The
much
European
further
mind
into it.
couldn't comprehend.
Um, so that's it for news, at least on my end. I know you said you've not really got any, so we'll just get straight into the actual topic at hand that we need to talk about. Um, except we're not going to do that, not right away, as everybody's favorite Fletch's trivia is back.
Sorry, whose favourite? Just to confirm, you.
Everybody's. Every single person that has ever existed, and it doesn't matter if they listen to the podcast or not. If you exist, you love Fletcher's trivia.
Just double
This
checking.
on Thursday night, just before the Super Bowl, the NFL hosted the NFL Honors, in which the five inductees to the brand new inductees to the Pro Football Hall of Fame were introduced on the stage. Now, we're not going to talk about how it links to college because of someone who isn't in the college football, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, who definitely should be at the end of the day. What I want to ask you is the five inductees: Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Roger Craig, and Drew Brees. I'm going to ask you, can you tell me where each five of those players went to college?
Rice. Didn't Luke, didn't Luke go to BYU? No. Roger was a Trojan, I'm sure. Was he?
Nope.
I mean, I can just start throwing names out because I don't know any of them.
Larry Fitzgerald. I think Larry was
I
a
knew
small. Larry was a. I don't think he was a big college.
I knew three of these. There were two of them that I didn't actually know.
Vinatieri. Where do kickers normally come from? Miami? Florida? No. Where did Roger go? Let me just check my signed Roger Craig helmet. Ah, he was Nebraska.
Well done.
Where? So Nebraska wasn't the highest. I'm sure Fitzgerald wasn't he Arizona? No. Didn't he just?
No.
What did he just play Arizona all the time? No. Michigan? No, none of them are Michigan.
None of them were
None of them
Michigan.
are Michigan. Drew Brees. Drew Brees was he?
Would
Wasn't
you?
LSU? No.
I'll give you a clue to get going. Obviously, we've got Nebraska in there already. They're a Big
Yeah.
Ten team. There's one more Big Ten team. There are two ACT teams, and there is one FCS team.
So Larry Fitz was a small FCS team, wasn't he?
No.
ACC, Florida State, Duke, Georgia Tech,
No, Duke.
Boston College. Oh,
Boston College. One of them was Boston College. Can you tell me who it was?
Luke.
Luke Kuechly was Boston College. There's one more Big Ten, one more ACC, and one more, well, one FBS, FCS even.
What did Drew Brees play?
Not to flex, but this is one of them. Weirdly enough, I could just rattle off the top of my head because I weirdly know it. I say
Yeah, that
weirdly
is weird.
enough,
Yeah.
Um, I'll give you one more clue on that one, right?
Mm.
Think of who Drew Brees is most known for playing for in the NFL because he played for a couple of teams. But
So the Saints.
yeah. So I want you to think of the color scheme. Very similar color scheme.
Purdue.
Boilermakers.
Boilermakers, Purdue. Well done, lads.
Mm.
Drew Brees was a Purdue Boilermaker. Roger Craig was a Nebraska Cornhusker. And Luke Keechley was a Boston College Eagle. We just have Larry Fitzgerald and Adam Vinatieri left.
One of them's
One of them's an
ACC.
S.
One of them's FCS, one of them's ACC.
Who else is in the ACC? Miami, Florida State,
Pitt.
Pitt.
Hit, well done. Larry Fitzgerald played for the Pitt Panthers.
Oh, so Vinatieri was FCS.
I mean,
Which one?
There are a good chunk
North
of...
Dakota, South Dakota, or
There, okay, whoa, stop. You're close with the second one.
South
Not
Dakota
South Dakota.
State.
There we go, South Dakota State. He was a jackrabbit.
jeez.
So the NFL, well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 comprised of a Pitt Panther in Larry Fitzgerald, a Boston College Eagle in Luke Keechley, a South Dakota State Jackrabbit in Adam Vinatieri, Nebraska Cornhusker in Roger Craig, and a Purdue
About bloody time.
Boilermaker in Drew
Sorry.
Brees. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to run for you. Now, this has been. Can you tell me what is a current sporting event taking place at this moment in time that's pretty, I'd say, well known around the globe, but it is a rather
The Winter
big,
Olympics.
the Winter Olympics. I got a bit bored the other day. I was up very, very
Are you
late.
watching this? Are you watching the luge? Were you?
I've watched a lot of the different spots. I weirdly like watching curling, but I can't tell Mrs. Fletch because then she'll think I know how to use a sweeping brush, and it sets a dangerous precedent, to be honest
Yeah,
with
you
you,
gotta be
lads.
careful there. Yeah, you
Um,
don't want to be down that road.
but I was a bit curious. Now there are so many athletes at the Olympics when it was on 2 years ago, and I mean I remember talking to you, Sam, at one point because it was like during the swimming, the amount of people who come out and BBC were doing cutscenes of people who were studying at the University of Texas to do swimming and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff. And it's amazing. I always wondered if there were many people who had gone from a football career to the Winter Olympics. And I just wondered, I got a bit bored. And I actually found there are four players, former college football players, who
That
had
have
a
gone
somewhat
on
decent career who went on to compete at the Winter Olympics. One of
bobsled.
which,
Surely it's got to be bobsled.
so I was like, but I just thought it's not entirely, I just thought it's a, well, we obviously don't know how to be quiet. So we're never going to have a problem filling out an hour or so on one topic. But I
No,
thought just want to add something else in there for a bit of extra fun. Herschel Walker, Georgia running back from 1980 to 1982, College Football Hall of Famer, Heisman winner, played for the New
Pro
Jersey
Football
Generals.
Hall of Fame.
Not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Do you not? I thought he'd
Nope.
have got in just because the trade that reset the whole NFL. But
Played for the Cowboys, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys again. He competed in the 1992 USA bobsled team.
Hmm.
Then you have Greg Harrell. So Herschel Walker was on the two-man team. Greg Harrell, tight end for Maryland. I could not find the official dates he was there. Also went on to play for the San Diego Chargers, the LA Raiders, and the London Monarchs.
Yay.
They're doing the rounds a little bit this
Yeah,
week. Can't think why the
they're
London
popping
Monarchs
up
are.
a fair bit, the Monarchs, this year.
He was on the two-man bobsled team in 1992.
Hang on, him and
Bob,
Herschel Walker.
him and Herschel Walker. Bob Weissenfels was a free safety for the Navy. Never went on to have a career in the NFL. He was on the four-man bobsled team in 1992 for the US. Johnny Quinn, wide
Good name.
receiver for North Texas between 2002 and 2005, is in the University of North Texas Hall of Fame. Had stints with the Bills and Packers on their practice squads. Competed for the 2014 USA bobsled team. And finally, this year, set to compete on Friday, I believe, Boone Niederhofer, wide receiver for Texas A&M from 2012 to 2016, is in the 2026 USA bobsled team four-man event.
Is that the ones who couldn't get in the bobsled? I don't know if you saw the highlights, but there was a USA team that was in qualification, and three of them didn't get in.
Do not know. Oh, I know that a lot of people widely reported him as if he's as good as gone.
Yeah. I think if he's part of that four-man team that was supposed to go down the hill together, and only the end up literally only ended up the driver went down, they ain't getting in.
Right. Well, I haven't checked. I
A
have no
comedy
idea about
moment,
that.
one of those comedy moments that you watch the Winter Olympics and you want to see people fall over. It was one of them.
Yeah,
It was literally the driver got in and everyone else just fell over. It was classic.
fair enough. Also, I have no idea. I need to double check on that. But Niederhofer, as I am aware, is competing on this week in the bobsled team for the US. So college football produces bobsledders,
Who knew?
and a lot of 1992 bobsledders.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was hosted in the US.
1992. I don't know.
Whistler somewhere, probably North America.
1992 Winter Olympics was in
Calgary,
France,
France. 92.
Albertville, France.
Hmm. There you
The
go.
So I just thought it was an odd little thing to go bored
It's the
about.
kind of thing that you would have
Kind of find out.
caught hold of and just pulled that thread out and just go, "That's odd. What's that?" Just keep pulling at it and finding
Yeah.
more info. Yeah.
I kind of looked a little bit into it and not really thought, I thought I'm not going to get anything back here. And then all of a sudden, like the
All of a sudden,
1992
look up.
bobsled team for the US comes up, and I'm like, okay. Including Herschel Walker, who's a massive historically relevant football player.
Mhm.
I just thought it was a really, really, really interesting fact. Anyway, so as I said before, we're going to start talking about the college football playoffs for 2026, or at least that's where we're going to start with the fact that, well, it's been officially declared as how the 2026 playoffs are going to look. So it's going to remain a 12-team playoff. Yeah, hang on, let me. It's got to remain a 12-team playoff with the same structure again in terms of seeding for 2026. So top four will get a bye, then five to whatever it ends up being will be next because well, all five, no,
I mean, they
all
decide
four
it's
power
slightly
four.
different though, isn't it? Are they giving champions of each of the conferences
Right, I was like
a spot, haven't they? They're keeping the seedings, but they're also providing the 5+11, right? Or five, yeah, five
power
plus 11.
four. Power four winners receive an auto bid
Yeah,
regardless of ranking. So Duke would have got in this year if this
even
was the
though they
rule
were
because they
ranked
won a Power
27th.
Four. They
Yeah.
won the ACC. Um, Group of six will be the highest ranked and does not have to be a conference winner.
Mhm.
So That's a bit of an.
So potentially that's an interesting one. So potentially a 57th ranked team gets into the playoffs
Potentially, yeah, that didn't win the conference.
that didn't win a group of 5 conference or group of 6 conference.
But I would say that's highly unlikely to happen. We
Yeah.
tend to find, at least in the last 2 weeks of the season, even if there's not been one before, there'll be a G5 team that
Just
sneaks in at
just
the bottom.
stinks a little bit,
Um,
stinks above the parapet, and everyone goes,
you
"Oh
know,
yeah, they're the ones in."
there will be a G5, a couple of G5 teams with great records that'll, like I said, they'll just be on that
Just on
precipice
the bubble.
of the bottom of the top 25. If they're the only ones that are there, they'll get in. They could go ahead, lose their conference
Yeah.
championship and still get in,
Mm.
because they are the highest ranked G5 team. Notre Dame will be in if they finish in the top 12.
Hmm.
So they could finish. Or was it the cutoff this year? It was 10th, wasn't it? So 11 and 12 didn't make it in. That's why Notre Dame and BYU didn't make it into the playoffs this year because 11 and
Hmm.
12 weren't in. If Notre Dame were to have finished this, Notre Dame would have been in this year.
Yeah.
Um,
So
which
that's the Fighting Irish special clause that's gone in.
would that
Join a
have been
bloody
Miami would
conference
have been
already.
kicked out?
Sorry,
What I want to know is would it be Miami who would have been kicked out this year, or no, or would it have been one of the
it would have been one of the G5.
G5s?
Yeah, they'd have taken the place of James Madison or something probably.
I don't see how it's fair that just because they can finish top 12, they automatically get a place. That's
It's the Ferrari rule, isn't it,
See,
or whatever you want to call it? It's
it's the bullshit
because
rule.
it's the bullshit Irish rule. Yeah,
but
because the Irish are special.
It's the oh look at me, I'm independent
Yeah,
rule.
I'm independent because I don't want to sign up to a conference because I want to keep all the money to myself. But hey,
um, well, this begs the question, and you look at the way last year fell, right? And I think this just kind of big one. Look at the way last year fell in terms of how Miami got in and Notre Dame got left out.
mhm.
Does this leave the option? I mean, look, if Notre Dame go 12 and 0, nobody can argue with anything. That's fine. It is what it is. But say we have another situation like we have this year, where they go 10 and 2, for example, and they're on like they could be in some rankings
It could be the
as far
12th.
as
They could be
13th.
13th.
They could be as up as high as ninth, right? That thing could happen. What do you not think it gives the college football playoffs a little, the committee, the option to kind of just rank them a little bit lower because they can get called all sorts for they'll happily get called up for getting it or for not ranking Notre Dame highly enough, but
Yeah.
they will have the opportunity to send that message by putting them 13th.
I Yes, it does, and it does give that power back to the committee, and we all have plenty of arguments for and against that. The committee shouldn't have that power to make or break a conference or make or break a whole year for any team, but they have, and they've done it in the past, and they will continue to do so until such time as that playoff committee is either disbanded or changes some way. Yeah, it does strike me as it gives the power back to them to veto the Irish just because they can, because
Well,
they feel that they're too big for their boots or whatever else.
I'm going to disagree that it gives it back because I think they've had it.
Yeah,
And you again, the way I look at it, the way it happened this year, that power was in their hands, right? They were able to bring Miami up the way they did, keep Notre Dame in and around that place the way they did. They made the choice to not drop some schools who lost a conference championship, but drop BYU.
yeah,
So Miami would go up, so they'd then be in the head-to-head with Notre Dame, which they would then win because they won the head-to-head in the season. They had that power, I think. I disagree with that, but I see. We're still pretty much in the same place into what the
yeah,
power that they do hold at this point is.
yeah. And you know, Notre Dame are running the risk themselves. all they can do to get away from this potential risk factor of, oh, are we in, are we not, or whatever. Just join a damn conference. Win your conference, get in. Stop harking on about this independent thing and just join a conference like everybody else. Even NDSU have done it.
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna say just to add on there though as well, the same seeding rules apply. 1 to 4 get a bye. Number 5 to like I say whatever number it ends up officially being will be seeded for the first round of the playoffs. The G6 rule is an interesting one. I was talk about it, but that was quietly snuck in. There were quite a few people who were posting and talking and whatnot about the G6 about the playoffs, who then a couple of days later went, "Oh wait, hang on, that doesn't sound right about the G6. What's that going on?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, okay then. So that was quietly snuck in there by the college football playoffs. I noticed. The question begs though, I think at this point, what is the correct decision? Right? I know we can all have different opinions on this, and I'm sure all of us will have a somewhat slightly different opinion. Now, I've got a green method for today. Right, we're going to do the environmental friendly reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce being exactly what you think it would be. We're going to reduce the size. We can reduce the size of the playoffs. We can reuse, and that's take the same format, keep going. We might make slight modifications, like this year. There's slight modifications. Next year, you might slightly modify it again. And that's the way we're going to go about it. Or we can recycle, and that is to make something completely new and have a completely different college football playoffs and make it something that's a bit different. Then I'm aware that Nick has submitted his idea for what he thinks would be best. I know Sam, you've got your own idea for what you would be best, and we'll be able to sneak them in. Well, say sneak them in, put them in as and when they are available. So we'll start with reduce. And the two logical options here, and if anyone wants to throw a weird number like 7, be quiet. Right? I'm not letting you do it. I don't care. 4 or 18 playoff. Now the 14 playoff was only 2 years ago. The 18, no, we skipped straight past 8 and went straight to 12. What are the benefits, pros, cons to doing a 4 or an 18 playoff instead of a 12?
You remove the element of the bye week for both, and
Yeah.
it also reduces the number of games that are being played as well. Which
Was it?
you can. Well, yeah, because you're only four game. You're only going to be playing 4 games or 2 games. You're going to play
Yeah,
a semi and a
it's just so
final.
yeah, but
With the
most of them
eight,
will
you're only
still
going to
play
be playing.
ball. All the bowl games will all be filled up at least, I suppose.
You'd have that's another thing. You'd have more teams in bowl games because you'd have
But yeah.
40 less teams or 8 less teams, depending on which format you went with. And it also just means that you would have a more condensed way of saying who's the best teams. Because if it's the 4, the only thing with the 4 element I find is that
Is it the four champions?
you're never gonna fit in a G5 team, are you?
Yeah,
They're
never.
gone basically from a 4 team, unless one of them somehow manages to like win out like every single game, beat someone like Ohio State in the process. You know, that'd be the only way that it would happen.
Yeah. Who was it?
Yeah.
TCU, but they're not even them. They're not G5, were they? TCU, so they got in. But yeah, would it be? If you went back to 4, would you have to then go right? It's the 4 conference champions, and that's it. Because you can't go ranking on that front. You've got to give the Power 4 conferences. Each one has to have
I think
you know
it certainly place more emphasis on the bowl games, on the
yeah.
championship games. If you win a championship game, you get into
You
the
get it
playoffs.
no matter your
But
record almost.
does it?
Yeah.
Let's word this right. Let's say best word to say.
I mean,
Does
these are all
it
the
allow?
arguments. These are all the arguments why they came away from the 4, wasn't it? That we're
No, I
kind
know,
of
yeah.
saying these are the plus points of.
But I'm gonna say if you do that and you say only the 4 Power 4 conference teams power conference champions are allowed to be in the 14 playoff.
Mhm.
Does that not then tell the Power 4 teams to go back and cupcake the living crap out of the non-conference schedule?
Yep.
Because
Probably.
what's the point in going out there, say next season,
Making a strength of
Michigan
schedule
play
that's
O- Michigan play Oklahoma, right? What is the point in doing that and playing a tough out of conference game when it doesn't
when you could
mean
schedule an
anything?
FCS game.
And you could cupcake that one 85-0. No
Yeah.
one gets hurt because you've got your
Fourth
third
string
stringers, fourth stringers
walk-ons.
out in the
Yeah.
in the third quarter. No one gets hurt. Whereas against Oklahoma, you're playing all 60 minutes, you're more likely to get hurt.
Yep.
What's the point? And it takes away from, so there's at least 3 regular season games that now don't matter whatsoever because they do nothing for you in the rankings because the rankings don't matter and they
Yep.
don't give you any stead in the conference.
Yeah.
The
And
only
you
thing
end
I
up
would say is you would then have to, I think you would have to increase the number of in-conference games.
everyone would
I
have
mean,
to
if you
play
were to go
9,
down
wouldn't
that
they?
route, you may as well just make it that you only play teams in your conference, bar
Yeah.
like maybe one or two, and they have to be against other Power Four teams.
Oh,
I think having a four team playoff would all it would do is it would drop. You'd basically be seeing this semi-tier that we're already sort of getting between the G5 and the Power Four, where you would basically say we're just going to gatekeep the national championship for ourselves, and the G5 are no longer a part of us. And
yeah.
what would then happen is they would just end up creating their own like
G5 national.
championship
Yeah.
thing. So
Mm.
that's all that had
Which
happened.
which I think we're somewhat on the way towards, and that's
Yeah,
a conversation. I don't know if that's a legitimate conversation that's being had with the people who matter, but it's a fan conversation that's been had. It's happening. It's a conversation on the talk shows that's happening. Is do the G5 just make the wrong playoffs and say screw it? What's the point? What's the
What's the
point in
point?
going trying to sit at the big boy table? If you sit at the big boy table,
You're just going to
everyone
get
else who's
spanked and everyone's going to throw stuff at you.
everyone looking in the window says, "Why are they sat at the big boy table?" And everyone at the big boy table kind of just goes, slaps you around a little bit and says, "Right, go away."
Off you go.
After
Well done.
yeah.
Here,
after you
you've
have your
had
starter,
your 10 minutes. Off you
yeah.
go. Yep.
So I think one of the big problems with the 14 playoff, and listen, I'm very, very, very surprised Gary has not mentioned this being one of the negative connotations of a 14
Florida
playoff.
missed out.
Is how many teams you're going to have to miss out who do deserve an opportunity to go. And you get Kirk Herbstreit coming back out next year saying, well,
ACC is a weak
they
conference. Blah 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 blah.
not even that. Because if you go off the rankings, which will probably be at least you put emphasis on every single game of the season, then if the rankings matter, you then get Kirk Herbstreit coming back out and saying, yeah, but
Yeah, but
the
who did
quarterback
you
was
play?
injured, so
Yeah, your
you're not the
quarterback was
same
injured, so
team.
you
Go
couldn't come
away.
in. Yeah.
And you will have there are there will always be arguments on who should or should not be in. For
Yep.
crying out loud, there's a 12-team playoff, and we were having that argument all
Already.
year
Yeah.
this year.
Exactly. So
So
I
but
mean,
that's going to
obviously,
make it worse.
it was fine for a very long time. So it was the status quo. It was the 14 conference, and it's the top four. Whoever got decided on by the committee, as we talked about, it gave that committee a huge amount of sway, a huge amount of power to say, you're in, you're out, you're not, you're in, and whatever else. As you say, FSU went completely unbeaten, 13-0, still didn't get in because their quarterback got injured, and therefore it wasn't the same team. Although the quarterback he ended up fifth in the Heisman ranking. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Bitter about that one. Poor guy never managed. Career was ruined because it was a hip drop tackle as well. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway.
So I mean, we'll move on slightly from this. I do think a 14 playoffs just going to do too many negative things, right? It's
Yeah,
too far
it's
back
too
in
hard to
the other way.
shoehorn it
I
back.
don't think we can do any
Hey,
reduction now. Now they're at 12,
no,
it'll
but
never go back. That's the
no,
problem.
I agree, but at least if you were to reduce, because I know some people look at the end of the day, some people are making the claim for it to be reduced. If I am right, because I haven't listened to the pod in a few weeks, so I might be wrong on this one. Please do let me know. Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On,
Locked
friend of
on.
the friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Spencer McLaughlin. And yeah, he was
Last
quite an advocate
he
for
was an
eight,
advocate for
wasn't he?
like 8 teams would have been a great cut-off point because you value every single game in the regular season. It doesn't change much, but you still get more teams in.
Mm.
And there's a lot less money in a reduced playoffs. I don't think they would ever reduce it. I
No.
genuinely don't. So I'm with Sam. I'm with you on that one. I don't think it will happen, but I do think it's worth the discussion of at least why would that not happen.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I wrote down in my notes, um, less money, and yes, that's a con. Not necessarily to us who were sat there like ESPN, don't you have enough money already?
Mm.
Conferences, don't you have enough? But at the end of the day, ESPN don't care.
No. Tell
If
you who would
they're
care about
losing
that
out
though.
on 500
Tell you who
million,
would care about four-team championship. The special Notre Dame Fighting Irish wouldn't get a look in.
Would force them to have to go in though.
Force them to go into a conference. Or accept
yeah,
that they can never win a national.
Wouldn't be the worst decision in the world.
I don't think you can get that sort of deal if it's an 18 playoff. You can't. You
No.
can't say we get. No disrespect to no Dame, I just don't think you can get that deal
There's
out
no
of
way
them.
you can say we deserve a place at the table if we finish in the top 10. And there's 8 players. Yeah.
Unless you just say it's just the top 8 in the rankings, then it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
because that's how the playoffs work.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, what's the point of playing conference championships? Why don't we just have
There we
one
go.
big conference? Yeah.
And this is the thing. If you take something, you give to something else, but you're taking away from somewhere else as well. So
Yeah.
no matter how we do any of this, you
Whatever
give
way we
team
cut this,
take
it's
something
going to be
else.
was it paying Peter to steal from Paul or whatever it is, robbing
Yeah,
Peter to pay Paul or something, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, pretty much exactly that. So at the end of the day, nothing here is going to be a perfect idea, and we've had a few days to think this through. Obviously, well, we've thought about it, we've mentioned it, we've had little conversations here, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not geniuses. We're not here to fix college football. We did that
We
last
tried
year,
that
and it
last
was
year. Yeah.
immaculate.
You didn't
Um,
fucking listen, did you?
but we're just spitballing some ideas. So like I say, reduce. That's not going to be a thing. And I think
Stick
as
to
much
12. What
as
do you reckon then? If just to reuse, do we stick as it is? Is it okay? Is it enough with the tweaks of?
Bye weeks don't work
Yeah.
because I think what are the bye week teams are 1-8 now?
one and
I
seven.
think only one.
1-8, 1-7, some ludicrous.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, what as in like 1 out of 8 teams have won.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. The one and
Last year
seven.
as well, when
One
Indiana
team
was
has
the
Yeah.
won.
only team that won after a
Indiana are
bye
the only
week in the
team that have
last
won
two
out of
years
2
or
years of
something.
doing it.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't think that system of having a bye week works because the only way that you can make it work is if you
Give everyone a
move.
bye week.
I don't even think that because at the moment the problem that it is that the season finishes, then you'll have a national championship. Okay, you might be in the top 4. The likelihood is you probably do have a conference
Conference.
championship,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not guaranteed. And then you then miss a week. Well, no, you miss what would it end up being most of the time 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
and then you play. So the only thing is that you move everything forward and have it so that they're only missing a week. Because at the moment, missing 2 weeks is like basically you may as well just not
Like
play football
retire,
for
just
yeah. So to me, that's the biggest problem.
There is something in the way of that, and there is something you can't. Well, they're trying to play
It's
with
the
it, but you
Army
can't.
Navy
Army
bullshit,
Navy
isn't it?
game.
Army Navy are rubbish, but there's also the NFL scheduling that starts to over. Do you then? I mean, for that, do you bring it earlier and start in week 0 rather than have a week
But
0 preseason?
do you think
Start
this
earlier.
this is why they're doing Friday/Saturday games for the first round of the playoffs? And you're not now got maybe I think maybe given the fact that ESPN and NFL now have that deal,
Yeah.
ESPN might say, well, as part of this deal, don't try and dilute our other product, right? They could, But at the same time, NFL could say we have a 10% stake in you.
We are a
We're going to
bigger product.
prioritize our product
Yeah.
here, my friend. I don't know how that's going to end up working. And look, I don't think anyone knows at this point, apart from the people who have decisions to make on it.
Yeah.
But the deal, I reckon the deal between the NFL and ESPN will say something about it will have an impact on how that plays
Yeah,
out.
it will
Yeah.
have some form of the NFL gets priority on Saturday evening coverage or something like that, and starts to eke into the you can't play NFL on Saturdays because of the deal or something. I think it will start to happen, and therefore the college schedule might need to. And we've already said that the college schedule is kind of a bit messed up anyway, and it should kind of either go earlier or dovetail a bit better into the NFL schedule.
Yeah.
And I think it may end up forcing it with that deal with ESPN to kind of be a bit more of a partnership rather than two entities kind of butting heads and trying to fight over, rankings and ratings.
Yeah. But as I think the problem you've got there is just you've got the Army Navy game that is in the way. There's nothing
Yeah.
we can do about it, and I think we need to operate on the idea of that's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
And we're not gonna we can't really compete.
But then I just don't think you can then have teams on a bye week then, because it's shown that it doesn't work, because every single team apart from Indiana has lost their game when they've been on a bye.
pretty badly as well.
And these are teams that, all of them have finished either with only losing one or none or no games. So these are the best teams in the regular season are
Just
losing
suddenly,
out in the playoffs because of the fact that they've had a bye week.
yeah.
What I was
Is
gonna
that the
say?
reason they're losing? People will argue, they should that having a bye week should be good for them because they rest and whatever else, and they
Which is
get more
yeah,
chance to play,
and in
more
most
chance to
cases it
practice.
would, but
But it just seems
you're not talking about 1 week, you're talking
yeah,
about multiple weeks.
multiple weeks, two, sometimes three, because the last game doesn't really count because these guys already know they've got the best
Yeah.
season, and so often it's a three, as you say, it's they've got the conference game that they're not playing in, then there's a bye week, and then potentially the week before the conference game, they're like, this is a cakewalk game. We'll play our second or third strings anyway because we've already got the third seed or the second seed wrapped up. Yeah.
Well, this is where I think it's a bit weird, and I was doing the math on it not that long ago. Most 3 out of the 4 teams this year who had a bye week won the conference, right? So they're in a conference championship. Obviously, the Big Ten, both conference championship teams went top two. Then you had the Big 12 and you had the SEC. So the Big 12 and SEC, two teams that were in the conference champ. No, actually, no, because the Big 12 conference runners up didn't play in the playoffs. The SEC ones did. Some of them are not really getting a bye week because they're playing in the conference championship and then playing in the first round of the playoffs. Some of those teams, however, Miami, didn't play in a conference championship, had that bye week then they have the bye week the week after, and then they had the game the week after. So actually, teams like Miami get an extra week of not playing.
Miami have a bye week?
Well, they didn't play in a conference championship. And
Yeah, but
then
then they played in
then
They played the first week though. They played the wild
but
card
this
round, didn't
this
they?
is what I'm saying is like
Yeah.
Georgia, you got conference championship weekend, Georgia play, right?
Mm.
And you got Army Navy, that then you've got the week of Army Navy, then you've got the first round, then you've got college football playoff quarterfinals. Miami play, and then you've got the conference championships, the week of Army Navy, and then you've got the first round. They have the same amount of time off as
Everybody
Georgia
else.
have, or everybody else has. You'd think Alabama played in the conference championship and then the first round of the playoffs. They only got that Army Navy week off. So some of these, the way the bye weeks are working, the only way I can think of the bye week truly being a disadvantage is because everyone has a minimum of 2 weeks off. Everyone. at least, and then some of those teams may have 3 weeks off. Like, what about the teams? Hang on, let me figure it out. There are some teams that when they play in the first round, they are then back to somewhat full match fit. They have got their legs going a little bit quicker and a little bit more with that time off.
Yeah, they've knocked the
I'm
rust
wording that
off or whatever.
horribly.
Yeah.
Um, but because they played the week before, they've all had 3 weeks off, but their 3 weeks off were shifted a week up. So
Yeah.
they did play the week before, so they're slightly warmer. Maybe that plays a part in it, but that shouldn't, I don't think. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to pin it
That was a
down
whole
because it makes no sense, as we say, it should be at the end of the season, your players are a bit beaten up and battered. So have a couple of weeks off, rest, get better, come back for the playoffs, and you should all be rested and fit and ready to go. But it just seems that either they completely switch off and they all kind of partake in an early spring break or whatever it is, or that sort of the momentum that is lost because you're not playing at that sort of capacity, you're not playing at that level of, game is next week, you're kind of running through the motions at practice seems to have a knock-on effect and a negative effect, which is strange to consider, and you don't quite see how it happens, and it shouldn't really happen. But the stats are right there, as you say, 1 in 7
I
don't
think
make it through. It's
my way of seeing it is the fact that yes, okay, say Miami get 2 weeks off, so they get their rivalry, their like hate week game. They then miss their don't they don't play then 2 weeks because they had championship, they weren't in it, and Army Navy. So they then get a game. Their game then is their sort of brush off some of the cobwebs, win that game because then they're going to be playing someone else who's probably either in a similar position to them, i.e., had 2 weeks off, or have at most only had a week off because they were in a championship.
yeah,
But it gives them a chance to play someone in the first week and build up a bit of match a match fitness in a more intense game.
yeah,
Then you've got, say, I don't know, Georgia, who played their national championship game, get 2 weeks off, and then have got to play. So they get the 2 weeks off, but it's a week later. So it ends up being that their first, ring rust, brush off the cobwebs, minor cobwebs game is against a team that's already got a week on them,
yeah,
essentially. So that's where I think the problem comes from, is the fact that they're playing teams that are already playoff mindset ready and they're not. I don't know whether there is a right solution to sorting it out in terms of how buys will work, but I just don't think that by the current system that it works.
Yeah.
And I do think that's partially, I think majority of it is down to scheduling. It's a scheduling issue.
There is something I want to get into on that one as well, though, right? There is a way that I want to get into that. But as far as reusing goals, I'm going to wrap up because focus on the bye weeks, but also the pros, as far as we go at, is just we know this system now. And I think somewhat to an extent, this bye week stuff will potentially correct itself going forward. And Indiana has shown the blueprint for like, well, it's not a death sentence having a bye week. Um, but not everyone's going to be as good as Indiana per se every year. But I think it will start to somewhat correct itself once teams like Georgia, who've now twice in a row been bounced in the quarterfinals of the playoff because they've had a bye week, Kirby Smart will figure it out what's gone wrong and things like
Willie?
that. They'll,
Willie?
I hope not, but um, I still think what you're gonna end up in is there'll just be too many people complaining again because they deserve to, they have the right to be in over other people. The
Hmm.
SEC have the right to have 10 of those teams be
Yeah, because
SEC
we're
teams.
the SEC. Yeah.
You can have your somehow you're going to be allowed to have your four other auto bids, your five other auto bids, but 10 of those 12 teams should be SEC teams. Arkansas should have still made it in because they played a tough schedule, even though they like what 3-9. Can't remember off the top of my head what they were, but yeah, you're still gonna have. I think it still leaves open a little bit too much jiggery pokery, word of the day, for the committee to mess around a little bit. You can take the FSU situation a few years ago, and what the committee did was wrong, and it was the wrong decision. But it was like what it was. This allows for, I think, more subtle jiggery pokery and genuine. They've got more cards to shuffle around that they can shuffle around that screw some teams over.
Yeah.
Again,
And this is the problem with this is the teams, the feeling that they're getting hard done by, that you want to try and get away from, even though how do you get away from that using rankings based on, oh, they're a better team because I like the color, you know, being very facetious, but
yeah,
the rankings can be somewhat a bit like, oh, I prefer that team because I went to that college, or oh, you've played a tougher team on paper, or we all thought that was a tougher team, therefore you get in over the team that's 13-0 and has lost a quarterback.
yeah. Um, right. So what we're gonna do now? I'm gonna recycle. Right, I'm gonna recycle. I'm gonna take what we've got, scrunch it up a little bit, origami it into something slightly new and different. We're gonna expand,
Mm-mm.
get bigger. Don't know why I explained to you both what the word expand means, and I'm pretty sure you were both aware that expand meant make bigger, and so did all of the people who listened to.
But okay, we'll go with it.
So we're gonna make the playoffs a bit bigger. Got
Mm.
two ideas that have been proposed. The SEC want the Big 12 and the ACC want a 16-team playoff. The Big 10 want a 24-team playoff. Now, I have done some research on this one. I don't agree with the decision, but I get now where they're coming from a little bit more with the 24-team playoff.
Okay.
And I think it benefits everyone, but not for the right reasons to an extent. What do we think on extension? Now, if you go on the bye week thing, you want to cut out the bye week, obviously the 16-team playoff makes the most sense.
Yeah.
16, 8, 4, 2, winner.
Yeah.
It also 16 does mean we don't have this thing, strong teams can get left out, and should Miami and Notre Dame this week, takes away a fair bit of that as well. It means that
You'd
more
still
teams,
you'd still get a little bit of it with team. It'd be shifted down to like
the
18,
17, 8,
17, and
16, 17,
16.
18 slots, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I suppose those often, as we found during the doing the UK polls, when you get down to 16, 17, 18, those lower regions, you can almost shuffle the deck and nobody would be that upset if you were 17th or 24th. There becomes a little bit more a grey area and less controversial if you were, say, pushing for the 17th spot and suddenly somebody said, well, you're 16th because you played against XYZ. Maybe the strength of schedules is less demanding down there or less convoluted as well. You should be able to go, you played them, they played them, they beat you, you go in.
I think if you look at it, right, let's take the AP top 25 from final rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it only showing me the AP top? Anyway, oops. But no, we're not gonna go with the AP one.
Do the last one of the
Just
UK.
do
Go on.
CF. We'll just do CFP. Week 16 rankings, right? So if you go on a 16-team playoff, depending on how many specific auto bids you want for either team, let's just say
5 and 11. Let's just go 5 and 11.
yeah, let's do 5 and 11. So teams make it in that kind of should have made it in anyway, apart from Duke, who were not ranked but would have made it in because ACC champions.
Yep.
You're talking teams like Notre Dame and BYU were obviously in. Texas are in. Vandy are in. And then you're talking on the precipice.
So
Maybe
who's
they
Virginia.
get in, maybe
who's
they don't.
the current 16th team on that ranking right now? Because they wouldn't get in. Right, USC would have got bumped for Duke because Duke were the champions of the ACC.
But Utah would have been in.
Yeah.
Both of which were, well, Utah were 10-2, USC were 9-3.
Wait, which G5 team would have got in?
The highest ranked would have been Tulane. Well, they would have probably been the final.
They would have, so basically 15 and 16 on that ranking would not have got in because Tulane and Duke would have taken those bottom 2 slots.
No, not necessarily, because if you're doing a 5 auto bid, then the ACC champion would automatically be. Well, actually, it depends, right? How we're working this, because if you're saying 4-1 as part of that 4-1-11. So the four ACC champions,
the four Power Four
champions all get in, and then the highest ranked G5 champion gets in. Fair enough. Or whether we're saying the 5 highest ranked champions, because if it's the 5 highest ranked champions, which it was this year, then Tulane and James Madison get in, Utah and USC don't. If we're doing 4-1, so all 4 Power 4 conference
4-1 and
champions,
11, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? So where do you? It's basically the top. Yeah, that's where it gets confusing then, right? Because then really it's only the top 14, or the top 15, if you like. Because expectation is top 15 would include all of the champions. Normally, on a normal year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Duke would have thrown it this year. Actually, to be fair,
but on a normal year, the top 15 teams would generally include the all 4 Power 4 conferences. It's just that 16th spot, which is guaranteed held for the G5 or G6, the best of the G6. It means basically your teams are battling for the top 15 ranked, because the 16th, everyone knows, is going to the G6.
Yep. So,
as you say, this year would have been an anomaly because the ACC champion was ranked 298th.
Yeah, was ranked nowhere.
Well outside of the bracket.
Someone left him in at 25th by accident because they forgot to fill it out properly last time. That's the thing though, and I'm like, you're still having Vanderbilt's the cut-off, right? Because again, this year you're talking Duke and Tulane are both in because 4-1. Either way, Tulane and James Madison, Tulane and Duke don't really matter because Vanderbilt's still the cut-off. Utah and USC lose out. And then Arizona, Michigan, Virginia, Houston, Georgia Tech, Iowa, North Texas all then follow.
They're all in that committee make a decision mix type thing. But they shouldn't, because they're underneath 16 and therefore they shouldn't be in the conversation. But again, do you then go, right, so which poll do you use? Do you use the AP poll or do you use the CFP poll?
Well, you continue using the CFP poll, won't you?
You'd have to. Then the AP poll becomes irrelevant. More irrelevant than it already is. Sorry.
Yeah, but then the AP poll just becomes that nice thing that you get throughout the season that
everyone
you'll get called a ranked matchup because some people said so in week 2.
Yeah.
Who don't get to decide. Some
writers who spent their off season went, you'll be a ranked team, and you'll be a ranked team.
And this is one thing, and I think when we've spoke about it before, because we have spoke about the AP poll before and what rankings mean, we
Hmm.
have mentioned it. I can't remember which episode specifically, but I'm pretty sure it was early in the season where it was like being ranked by the
Means
AP
more
poll
eyes. Yeah.
means eyes, means TV, means the marketing around your game's a little bit better. At the end of the day, what was the big selling point of the Aer Lingus Classic this year?
Two ranked teams,
Ranked
two
teams.
top 25 teams.
It was a top 25 matchup. Now, we've said a million times that top 25 ranking didn't mean nish at the end of the season, but it was a top 25 ranking, and that's how you build that matchup.
Yep.
So it does mean something to an extent that like it adds that little bit of juice onto a game because they're ranked.
Yeah. I think
But
was it USF last season we were talking about? I mean USF.
it might have been, to be fair, because obviously
Because
they were
they were
teetering in and out after a couple
mm.
of those decent wins. But that's
But
it. I
yeah,
mean, with the 16 team playoff, that's your answer. If you're going 5-11, but I'm gonna throw in a really quick, Sam. I don't know if you want to interject in a sec with your idea if it falls around 16 or
It
whether you've
does.
gone. Okay, I was worried then you'd gone 32. Um,
Sam's
No,
but
going for a full if FIFA FA World Cup final
I am doing
128th
I'm
team
doing a
March
Super League
Madness.
where
Super League
everyone's
March
just
Madness bracket
yeah.
where everyone plays everyone. Round robin.
basically, what Sam's idea is actually it's an in-season tournament that happens next season. So you
Yeah,
rank everyone in January, and then in the August season starts. On like your bye weeks, that's where it's like Champions League game where you play midweek.
yeah.
Your bye week is where you play
It's
this
called a
tournament.
Super League.
Um,
No,
but
it's not
just
what I've got.
because
I've got a
it's
16 team league.
just to make it really
16 team
quick,
play.
I'm going to throw in Nick's thrown in his idea for a 16 team league, and then I'll throw straight to you there, Sam. Expand to 16 teams, no buys, Power Four champions guaranteed an on campus home quarter final, but not a top four seed. Highest seeded non conference champions also to have an on campus home game. Places in CFP to be awarded as follows.
Hang on, sorry, just a
SEC.
quarterfinal, semi-final fight. That doesn't work.
Yeah, because there's 8 teams, 8 games, so it's a quarter. No, it's not.
Semi.
It's a
It's
round of
not.
16.
It's round of 16. So the Power Four have to have a. If he's saying so, basically he's saying the Power Four champions get a bye.
No, I think what he probably means is that
No,
round
The
of
first
16.
round of 16 at home, because he said quarterfinal, which doesn't tally. That's the
I,
round
I,
of eight
I want,
or two,
I
right?
want
Eight
Nick to clarify on this
quarter
rather than,
semis final.
and
Surely that's
not to, because I don't want to insinuate or and let if we're missing something out or if something's been put down slightly
hmm.
wrong, I don't want us to insinuate on it. So I want to get more clarification off Nick on this one as to
Maybe
what
he does mean
exactly is
that
meant.
though. And what he means is therefore in the round of 16, 10th place 16, 11th place 15, 12th place, that sort of bottom end to then go into no, because he's saying they don't get seeded. I mean, that'd be interesting. Yeah,
Also, they guaranteed a home game regardless of seed, but you don't get automatic 1 to 4 seed.
yep.
Which again is not quite sitting right with me. So again, I want Nick, if you can you message us tomorrow with the clarification on it?
Clarification. Yeah, we're just a bit confused
Um,
about what you mean by that bit.
SEC times three, champ and two highest ranked teams. Big Ten times three, champ and two highest ranked teams. Big 12 times two, champ and highest ranked team. ACC times one,
Just the champion. Yeah.
conference champ, and then 7 ranked bids. Highest ranked teams yet to be allocated a spot, take remaining spaces. And then that's a beautiful picture of Erling Haaland on Sunday at about 6:45. Don't know why that's in there.
No, sure. Interesting that he hasn't given a Notre Dame Fighting Irish special dispensation in his round of 16.
Because he probably
Also,
assumes that with
he
their
assumes they'll
cake
be within
cupcake league,
K Cup. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
the
cupcake
cupcake.
schedule they'll always be in. But interesting also that he's giving the ACC the just one position,
Yeah.
which I kind of get based on the recent sort of slump of the ACC, but it does then lead us back into what happens. And if you somehow, in a couple of years' time, have three good teams coming out of the ACC with really good records that should nominally be in that area, but
Well,
the ACC have only got one guaranteed spot. Oh,
but
there's one guaranteed, and then if they're in the top 16 ranking, they'll get in anyway.
I say
Hmm.
you'll fall within that because the SEC get ×3 and the committee will have them as whatever in the top 16 anyway. The top three Big Ten teams will be in the top 16 anyway. The top two Big 12 teams you would imagine. I mean, again, look at this year. The top three Big Ten teams. The lowest ranked one was fifth.
Yeah.
You look at the top three SEC teams, the lowest ranked was seventh.
Seven,
And then
8.
they just kept going down with a few more SEC teams just in case. Your top two Big 12 teams, second one was 12th. And then your top one ACC team was 10th.
Yeah.
And we all debated whether they should be in or not.
Yeah,
So
bad year for the ACC. Well,
I still think,
year.
look, if you're the only thing I genuinely disagree with is if you're going to do that, if the Big 12 get two, the ACC get two, you can't just.
It seems.
I don't
It
agree with
seems.
that.
Yeah, seems odd that the ACC only get one. If you're giving the Big 12, give all of them two. Give the weaker of the Power Four conferences, and they are. Give them two each. Don't
Yeah.
give. Yeah,
But
yeah,
either
and
way,
I'm odd that the Irish don't get a. You get a ticket to the big dance just because you're the Irish.
You can guarantee, and I don't mean this in any arrogant way, but you can guarantee in a 16-team playoff with it, whatever seedings you want to have, three Big Ten and three. You could take away auto bids, three Big Ten, three SEC teams will be in there every year because that's just the way they're ranked. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what's your idea?
So again, similar. It's similar in a way, but 16-team playoffs. The way I see it is you get it do the 4-1 of each championship team is given a rank. I think the way I see it playing is that you would have each of the top the Power Four, each of their champions get the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed. I think then the fifth seed goes to the highest ranked group of 5. So they get the fifth seed.
So similar to how those top 5 seedings worked the first year with the 12 team.
Yeah. So they get the top 5 seeds. Then everything else. Everything else is then done just based upon the playoff rankings. However, my difference would be is that your record is frozen once the regular season is over. So we don't do all of this. If you win a conference game, you get an
jump
extra
7 places or down
because
15.
the amount of fuckeries that happen with that just annoyed the hell out of me. That you lost places just because you lost a game that no one else could play in. So
And
for me,
some lost places, but some didn't, or both lost.
Yeah.
And it was it was just weird.
Like was it Alabama lost like 3 spots just because of the fact that they lost
No.
No.
So BYU
Alabama didn't, but BYU did, wasn't it? Or
BYU
like
lost
6 spots
got dropped
or something?
one. Alabama lost,
Yeah,
and they
was that Alabama?
Georgia battered him, and Alabama didn't move. BYU got dropped, Virginia got dropped,
Yeah,
North Texas got dropped, but Ohio State were the only ones who got dropped and lost, and it would probably make sense because Indiana and Ohio State, you had to kind of head to head it.
Yeah. So my way would be is that that's how it would end up. So it'd be 1 to 5 is your championship winners, and then it's then the next 10, sorry, 11 is your highest ranked 11 that aren't champions. Then the
And
way I would do it is similar to how the NFL works. One would play 16, 2, 15, blah blah blah, and then you just change it up and just whoever is the highest seed plays the lowest seed each time because that's your benefit of being the highest rank, winning your your conference championship, and being the best team. You get
yeah,
home advantage until
all through
you
the
get to
playoffs until you get
what
to
you
the
get.
I
final or
think
till you
so.
get to the
No,
I
you
think
would
so.
semi-finals.
get because then you've still got like your sugar bowls and everything that would happen. I think from the semi-finals it would be. I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I think you probably do.
2 home
Yeah,
games
so
yeah.
you'd have
and
two
First
then
two
home
rounds will be home
games.
games.
First 2 rounds home games. The other two are at neutral grounds.
yeah,
So for me, that's how it would then play out. So you would have 1v16 and it would just be rejigged every single time round until you get to the bottom, until you get to the
yep.
final.
What about a 2014 player?
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. It's
So
just too many.
You're adding
obvious.
buys even later into it,
Well, you're not adding extra buys per se. You're
but
just
you're giving
adding
more teams a buy. I think 24 is too much for me.
It's just,
first
and it
round.
also takes out. I mean, 24. It's like everyone gets a
Who
playoff
who
spot.
who of the top 25 do you take out? That's where the
Yeah.
big controversy will be.
Who's the
I think the real answer is Michigan get in, so I'm happy. Not this season though. I actually don't want. I didn't want us to be in the playoffs this season. I said towards the end of the season, we'd get embarrassed in the playoffs. I don't want that. And given everything that transpired afterwards, very bloody glad we weren't in the playoffs. Um, but one, it would mean that Michigan get in, and I'm very very happy with that one, and I want that to happen more. Um, but the only team that I think would be missing out would be North Texas. But now I'm not saying I'm not making the case for the 2014 playoff per se. I'm not saying that's the idea that I want. But it's the Big Ten that are pushing for it, and it's the Big Ten that are like, no, we're not going 16.
Hmm.
So do you know how much the 12 team playoff made how much was earned for schools and conferences?
no
It
clue?
was just shy of 2 billion because of ESPN's contract.
They're trying to say that they would what double to 4 billion.
Because there'd
It
be
would
more
the
playoff games.
3.5 billion-ish would be, well, and
The
that's money
estimated
that's
revenue.
distributed between conferences. That money being distributed within conferences in an era right now where conferences currently aren't making more money, but now they are spending 23, 24, 25 million
Hmm.
on NIL
Back
deals.
payment and NIL deals and everything else. Yeah.
The argument I think here is we're all kind of clamoring for a little bit of extra money right now. Go and get that's the easiest way to go and
It's
make
the
that money
easiest
happen.
route to get, yeah, to
Um,
get an influx to the coffers of, hey, look,
the
everything's a
In
playoff game.
the
But then
in my
ACC,
everything becomes a playoff game, doesn't it? It's almost like
yeah, where does it then
loses the
stop?
luster of
My my
when did
my
my my biggest issue with it would be is the fact that I think you would end up with an even more disparaging difference between the Power Four and the Group of Five because there'd be more money floating around the big teams and less around the lower
yeah.
teams.
yeah,
Anyone that was on the precipice would just move up to a Power Four team, and
oh
then
yeah.
you'd end up just the G5 would drop off.
Mm.
So you're talking anybody who was in the playoffs this year would be in the playoffs automatically with a 2014 playoff. But if you just do the top 24, James Madison at the cut-off point, Tulane are already in, so the two G5 teams are already in there, which means if you're adding 10 more teams, all of them are, well, you're adding 12 more teams, and all 12 are Power 4. You
Yeah.
think there's an extra few though going in from the Big 12, so the Big 12 get a good chunk more money. There is
The SEC probably get
two
about
more.
six.
There are
Yeah.
two more
The whole of the SEC ends
ACC.
up near enough in.
Yeah.
You're not too far off, to be fair. But then again, like the only two, do you know who the only two teams? No, yeah, there were only two teams in the top 25 who would be additional SEC entrants, and that's Texas and Vandy. They're the only two that
What?
would then make the cut because the SEC was very top heavy, and you're talking one, two, three, four, five of the top nine. Yeah,
And then
whereas the
yeah, and then
Big Ten,
that was it, wasn't it? Then it was
the
proper drop off. Yeah.
Big Ten would add three, the Big 12 would add four, and the ACC would add two. And I need to do the maths properly. I'm not doing that. And obviously Notre Dame and Independent gets in. Um, the Sun Belt gets what. So like, the argument here, I think, is just. I think you're absolutely right. That's a lot more money going around Power Four conferences. No extra cash realistically is going around in the G5. But
Mm.
I think what it comes down to is the Big Ten are saying, look, there is more money to be had here. And the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 are going, yeah, we still get a bit extra money with this thing, but we're not desperate for cash yet. We don't need to
Yeah.
go and grab
Mm.
double that amount of money. We just get. I kind of think they just get some extra money and they're happy with it. Whereas the Big Ten, who definitely look, I'm not being funny, but the Big Ten aren't clamoring for an extra $10 under the couch.
No,
Think they're just sat there like, go and freaking get it while we can get it.
Yeah.
make hay while the
I
sun
genuinely
shines.
think that's
Yeah,
the discussion, and that's why the Big Ten won't move because they're just like, give us cash. We want cash. We want more money,
Yeah.
and you're denying us the opportunity to make more money. Here, go away.
yeah.
But my biggest thing as well is where are you fitting that in the schedule? Where are
That's
you fitting a 24 team schedule? Like
well.
that's just insane.
Hang on, let me. I want to do this real quick. Let me
So
talk
you'd
amongst
have
yourselves for 30 seconds.
you'd say you'd take out what six teams would be on a bye.
So,
Six.
first round, second round, third round, fourth round. No. If you started from start to finish, if you played first round and made it to the nat, you'd play five extra games.
That's just silly.
Now, where you would
And
have
there's
played a
already talk about student athletes, and when would you schedule this? How would this
conf,
work around the playoffs of the NFL as well?
Well,
so
this is it because you'd have week at the moment week 16 runs week 15 of the playoffs of the NFL
Yeah,
right now. So that's right, isn't it? It's always a week
yeah,
ahead.
but this
yeah.
no, so this year is going to be slightly different because Labor Day is really like a bank holiday. Monday is really late in August this year because where it will be in Dublin on like the 29th
28th,
because
29th. Yeah, it's
it's
really late,
it's
isn't it?
that's week zero is the 29th of
So
August.
week one will run alongside week one.
So week this
Yeah.
year they'll run
So if
adjacent. So
say
week
that
one
you
will be
did have
week
a
one.
24, say you did have a 24 playoff this year, you'd have week 16, so hate week would finish. Is that yeah, week 16 hate week? Or is it week
Not this
14?
season. It'll
14,
be
wasn't it?
it'll be
Week
week
14.
50.
15.
So there's normally, depending on how the schedule runs and how the calendar runs, there will be either 13 or 14 weeks. We've just had a couple of years now where 14 weeks has been the way the calendar's run.
Yeah.
Because it's so late, you're
Would
gonna
they
have to
put, so
run with a
they'd
13
have
week
to put,
season.
honestly, and if they're going to do it this way, you put hate week or the weekend of Thanksgiving
But either way,
Which it is.
say we're
or
looking
the
at what
weekend
week.
before, I suppose.
So say we're talking about week 14 is hate week.
So it'd be week 13 this year, yeah.
So
Yeah.
week 13 this year is going to be hate week.
Yep.
You'd then have week 14 would be
Championships.
championship games. Week 15 would be Nat Navy
Army
Army
Navy.
and their nonsense. Then week 16 you'd have the start of the playoffs, which
Yeah.
would be the first lot of games. And you're saying that if you played from that week all the way to the final, you'd play 5 games,
Yeah.
which means that it would then finish in the middle of the NFL
NFL
playoffs.
playoff weekend. Yeah.
which already
That's not
does.
good. That which wouldn't work.
See, and this
Or
is
the
the
only
one
way it
thing.
would work is that you'd then have to move all of the playoff games wouldn't be on a Saturday. They'd have to be back on a Sunday.
Yeah. The NFL
But they
would
like
not
the
have
fact that they
Saturdays
have
anymore.
the games on Saturdays and Sundays being completely
Wild card
NFL.
weekend. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the whole weekend now. The NFL has taken that.
Yeah.
because
Arm wrestling that
we'd be
back.
starting in we'd already be starting in week 17, what was it? 14, 15, week 16. So we'd have the first
16
two
would.
games, the first two, the week 16, 17, 18, the first three games would be of the last
Christmas
games of the regular
period.
season.
Yeah.
Be the last three games of the NFL's regular season, which means you'd then have four games technically, no, two games, would have to be in the wild card weekend.
Yeah.
You'd then have the playoff final, the national championship playoff final will be the same week as the divisional games, which they like having two on a Saturday, two on a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Yeah.
I think.
It just
And
wouldn't. It wouldn't work together.
I think,
That's my only thing.
and by the way, I'd say I think, and I think this anyway. There's a way to do it, right? And not necessarily this in particular, but I think you need to fuck around with the college football schedule anyway.
Well, yeah, you'd
I
have
did.
to.
The,
The college schedule doesn't make sense for a
the
start.
entire schedule needs to, because the fact that you've got the playoffs finishing halfway through the only transfer portal window in a year is ridiculous.
In fact,
Whether
you've got
you
these players who are going like they're playing their last season. They're the best of the best. They're going all the way to the national championships, and then they're literally out of there into senior bowl, into draft, into all of the stuff that they then have to get into. No rest, nothing, no recuperation for half of those guys, which is why you hear of this rookie wall when they go to the NFL because they literally don't stop. Why don't we just bring the college football forward a month? Get rid of spring, whatever the
a
fuck.
week? I reckon a week, or maybe 2 weeks, right? So let me. One thing I'm really interested to see with the Union Jack Classic this year, and genuinely interested with the Union Jack Classic this year. What the Erlingers Classic gets pretty much solo viewing time. There is no other game on it. It's similar to the way the Army Navy game is. Nothing else is on while the
Week
Erlingers Classic is
0,
on.
get into it, get yourselves back into the swing of it. Here it is.
So we benefit. We as college football fans, I think, especially those who attend that game, benefit from having that game be the only game because we're not missing out on anything else while we're there, right? Obviously, we also benefit from having a game on this side of the pond. That's also a given. But one of the things I think is going to be really interesting is to see how the Union Jack Classic handles other football being on at the same time.
Yeah,
and
week
how
3.
Because viewership's going to be different, and it's one thing to see, and obviously we
I mean,
guarantee
they're obviously going to get the
90,000 will be sat
the
in Wembley.
the novelty people. The people are going to watch it because it's Wembley and they want to see it and whatever else, and it's novel, and so they'll get that viewership. But it really depends on when they set the kickoff, and I'm not sure if they've determined that yet, have they?
And I don't think they can mess around too much with the schedule, given the age of the kids and all that sort of stuff. If you do what the NFL do and move it to a 2:30 in the afternoon kickoff, you're messing. I don't know how much you're messing around with them because there's a reason they keep it to 5 p.m. because it's midday Eastern. Which is it's fine. I kind of get that. It'd be interesting to see if they're willing to move around the kickoff time. I don't think they are moving around the kickoff time. I need to go double check. I will double check at some point. But let's just say Michigan kick off at the same time.
3 o'clock kickoffs. Anyway,
Michigan kick off at the same time versus whoever. Let's say let's say Oklahoma. Because week 3, so a lot of conferences are still in non-conference games.
Yeah, so you're still getting those.
Georgia are playing a conference game against Arkansas, maybe Mississippi State. Decent game.
Miami
Alabama
are playing.
Miami are playing. You've got there are 50
Couple of
other
big,
games happening at the same
yeah, there's a
time,
couple of big East Coast
including
teams kicking off it.
yeah, including tip top level programs, right? Because they're playing maybe they're playing a slightly cupcake. I'm really, really, really curious to see what the viewership is like because, like I said, it's one thing to fill Wembley, right? And
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll fill Wembley. Don't forget, you can go check all the links that we put out there because the links to go buy tickets if you haven't already are in the links for everything. So do go make sure we fill Wembley. But if ESPN don't get enough hits,
okay, don't
if
get bums
whoever's
on seats
showing it
watching that. Yeah,
doesn't get enough clicks on and get enough I'd be interested to see that. And it'd be great to see if we could speak to Thomas or Brian or someone at the Union Jack Classic again and get their thoughts on this side of things.
yeah,
But that viewership, that the attendance is one thing, but also the viewership and all that sort of stuff and how it competes against other games. That's going to be really interesting to see how that dynamic works.
yeah. That would be massive because they are, as you say, these are the two teams that are coming over. Arizona State will probably get a viewership pull, but they're not that, they're not big teams. They're not, people will, even if you're not a Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia fan as such, you'll probably still go, Georgia are playing. I'll just check out what do they look like this season in the 3 o'clock kickoffs because my team's not playing until 7 or whatever. That's the team. If your team's kicking off later, you'll look at it and go, which teams am I going to watch in the early kickoff? Arizona State, Kansas are probably not up high on that level when if you say you've got Alabama kicking off or maybe Ohio State are kicking off in that early window. So yeah, it will be interesting to see who they and how they pull those in. Do they get almost a do they bring it? And I think they should. I think they could go
Yeah.
with we'll kick off at 10 a.m. Eastern just to get the viewers, just to go, hey guys, football starts even earlier this Saturday. Watch the UK, watch a Union Jack Classic. It's a 10 a.m. kickoff in Eastern. Although the problem with that is 6 a.m. West Coast. You're not
If you
getting the
choose,
Pacific,
if
and
you
you're
choose
not getting
to,
the Arizona people there. You're not going to
but
want to get Arizona up at
if
6 a.m.
if
on it.
you're gonna choose two, if you're gonna do it that way though, you choose two teams on the East Coast
Yeah,
or middle to East Coast.
yeah. East Coast to Central Time. You don't choose Arizona State, who are
No,
Pacific. So yeah, I don't know how they. It'll be interesting. It would be really good to get some insight of what they're thinking around kickoffs and stuff like that. And
Um,
all
it's
because we just want the Union Jack Classic to be a success because we want this to be the first one of many.
yeah,
We don't want this to be a one-off. We want this UJC one to, lead on to UJC being a standard regular season game like the NFL games are.
it's currently listed on Ticketmaster as 5 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's a midday
midday
Eastern
Eastern.
time.
So it's yeah, dead on midday Eastern, 9 a.m. West Coast, 11 a.m. Central.
Mm.
So even if the thing is, you could bring it forward till 2 p.m. and that'd still be reasonable.
Not for the Pacific.
Yeah, but not that again. You're not including a Pacific team, is what I'm saying.
And
It wouldn't
Yeah,
work for the current two teams that they've got, but
that's
going
why
forward, if you brought in someone like an LSU or
yeah.
not a Washington, I don't know,
Maryland or something like that.
yeah, or even like Miami or a
Yeah,
Florida team.
oh god, no, not Florida State again. We've been through that. I'm joking.
It's either
I
that
don't think Florida State will
or
come
the
over.
Gators.
But I'm gonna say, but I was gonna say because we've slightly gone off the point I was making. But
Us go off on a tangent. Never.
the the idea here, I was gonna say the NFL do have to kick off, but at the same time, their games don't kick off till 6 p.m. Our time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So half 2 to 6, like you've got the time
You've got the
there,
window
the
right
buffer.
there, haven't they?
Um, even with a bit of overtime, you kind of I know there have been a couple of times them games have cut it a bit fine, getting close to 6 o'clock, but it's generally okay, right? You normally have 20 minutes, half an hour before the next lot of kickoffs.
Yeah.
What the point I was going to make was I'd be really interested to see how the Union Jack Classic and how Kansas and how Arizona work the whole being part of the chunk of the schedule with the season being in full swing. Because my point then was going to be if we move some of the college football forward, if we move week 1 to Labor Day weekend or make week 0, just everyone starts when week 0 is, what would that mean for the Aer Lingus Classic not having its own time? And we want the Aer Lingus Classic to have its still have its pull and still have the draw.
Mm.
So my point being is that I could see a world where you bring college football forward a week, but at the same time, what does that then do for the Aer Lingus Classic? Because then if you shift college football forward a week and it starts 2 weeks before the NFL, you go forward for the season. Yeah, you're talking hate week is the week before Thanksgiving. The week after Thanksgiving is conference championships. The week after that is the first weekend in December, and that's when the playoffs start, and you can time them so they finish on the New Year's Six Bowl or the week after.
It's lots to happen, isn't there? Lots and lots of things to go back and
Yeah.
forth about. There's so much, as you say, we tried to sort this out last time, but the conferences, the kickoffs, it's such a
I think the biggest problem is that they want to make college football because it's in a lot of states, college football is almost bigger than NFL in some ways,
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah,
as big as. And the problem is they're trying to make college football as almost as like I don't want to say it's a secondary or even a rivalry to, but they want to make it as big as the NFL, but then are trying to shoehorn a schedule that doesn't. Yeah, they're
it
trying to schedule it
doesn't give it
against
any
things
favors.
like.
Yeah,
Well, they just want to schedule it against things like Labor
That
Day, Thanksgiving weekend, and stuff like that. And sometimes maybe they just, and again, it would be very un-American, but screw the big holidays.
yeah.
Focus on the sport.
so right. I'm putting a pin in this conversation. Right. I'm gonna imagine we're in a corporate email right now. I'm gonna put a pin
Oh
in
no,
this.
we're going to circle back to this, are we?
We're going to circle back at a later date, because this is an interesting conversation, and I'm again wary of the time, and I have not shut up for now for nearly 4 hours. My throat's starting to hurt. No comments, Gary. Um,
Comments write
so
themselves. I don't even have to say it.
no, I'm, and it goes a bit too off topic for exactly what we're talking about. So I think we can talk about that another day. There are reasons why certain dates can't be messed around with. It's a frustrating thing. I think there's a reason why the NFL and college football can't can't start their seasons until after Labor Day, unless
Isn't it something to do with the
week
baseball season or
0 they
something?
travel. There's a reason they travel on week 0.
Because it's
There's
out
a
of
reason Hawaii can have the game on week 0. There's a reason Ireland can have a game on week 0, but you can't really play a game on mainland
and
USA.
mainland USA because of baseball or some gubbins or
There is
something.
I'm sure there's a law about not playing football before Labor Day weekend on USO. There's something to go into, but yeah, it's gonna any change to the playoff is gonna have to come with a schedule change. It's gonna have to come with a calendar change. It just
Yeah,
can't. It can't. The college football season right now can't carry the weight of what they're trying to put on it,
yeah.
and that's just the
It's
reality of the
just
situation.
yeah.
Um, with that, and on that note, I think it's time we start wrapping up and getting ready to go to bed. Um,
It's like us. We've done it. We've done our usual. We've kind of come in here going, we're going to talk about this, and we've gone. "Hmm?"
yeah,
But I think we did cover the different
a
options,
lot.
and I think there are plus points. I think the 24 is too far.
Yeah,
I think just to shoehorn it, you'd have to move so many things, and it just makes a lot of games to overlap with the behemoth that is the NFL in terms of coverage and whatever else. And with the ESPN link, that's an interesting nuance to take into account. 16 seems a better compromise than what we currently have in terms of the 12. It's just how that 16 is made up and how it then plays out. As do we do what Sam says and do top two bottom on a seeded type thing, and the power conferences get their seedings? That's where the nuance will have to. That's where the argument's going to be. I think everyone agrees 16 is probably the way forward. 12 doesn't work with the bye weeks. There's too much news about that. 16 will probably happen, not this year, but next season, I should imagine. They'll move to 16, but then will that give them long enough to iron out who gets where and what? And is it 5 plus, or is it 4, 1, and 11, or is it 5 and 11, or is it da 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 da? And does the Pac-12 come back into the organization as a conference that gets a little bit more heavyweight because they're now a proper-ish conference? Another question to throw in.
That again, I think I want to do. In fact, to be fair, I think we could do a whole episode on the Pac-12. To be honest with you, that's a really
The
good
All
question.
State
So,
Pac-12.
the All State, State Farm, State, Pac-12. There's a lot of discussions there that I think we can have another day. So with that, I say, with that being said, thank you for listening to our wonderful
Thank you for
episode.
sticking with us.
If you are, I'm sure there's someone there just going, for Christ's sake, tell us who the guest's going to be at the weekend, man.
What is this special thing you talked about? You teased us with this special episode, and you had to listen to this waffle.
This one's all me, baby. My favorite podcast is obviously the College Football UK podcast, and Heard All the Line, equally loved, like the children that they are of mine. But outside of that, it's the Sickos Committee podcast. The Sickos Committee are. I've listened to them now for about 2 years and thoroughly enjoyed and listened to pretty much every single episode they put out. They are like us, in the sense that they can ramble for 2 hours on a college football podcast, but they can spend 10 minutes talking about college football. Whole lot of fun, amazing people. They are all from the States. All of them are they're dedicated to D3 college football, D2 college football. It's less about Alabama versus Georgia and more about Kent State versus Middle Tennessee.
Nice.
And the chaos and the fun and the eccentric bits that we mention every now and again, but that's their bread and butter. That's what they love the most. Do you want to say something then, Sam? No? Okay.
Just breathing.
Okay. But yeah, I have loved their podcast for 2 years. I think they're all fantastic. And we have Kamish from the Sickos Committee on the podcast. I interviewed him. We chatted for over an hour. He was very, very, very generous with his time, very generous with his information, and had a lot of great things to say about the expansion of college football to the UK. I fully recommend anyone go and listen to it when it's out on Sunday. I'll put it out about 7, 8 a.m. UK time. I'm not doing the 6 a.m. thing on a Sunday because
It's just
no one's
just
getting up
nobody
that.
does that. Nobody does 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
If you are getting up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, you have other things that you're doing rather than listening to a college football podcast. You are taking care of your soul a lot better, I think, than people like I am. So yeah, on that note, please go and check out that podcast that's out on Sunday. It's the second episode. There's another that's a second episode this week. We'll be back next Wednesday to talk about something. Yeah, something. That's all I'm saying.
Recruitment.
Yes, that was it. Recruitment, and then
It's
there's the
portal
transfer
afterwards.
portal. Yeah, so we have got the next couple of weeks planned out. And Nick will be back to keep us all in check as well. So see you next week.
Thanks for listening.